Interesting. Okay, now Mr. Hussain, I'm just going to come back. You've just heard what everyone else had to say. Do you think that in case Yashwant Sinha doesn't manage to get en masse votes from, say, the TMC or even from the Congress party across states, it will be a huge embarrassment and yet another, a mistake by the Congress party? I mean, she's a woman and you've always you have a president who's a woman. You've always taken credit for the fact that the first speaker was a woman, first president was a woman, in the sense of, Indira Gandhi and all these, when you go back on legacy. I mean, what really stopped you? I mean, do you think there's going to be that sense of regret that, perhaps we should have defended Draupadi Murmu?
Pallavi, I think we have to understand that winning and losing are always winning and losing is always there in politics. It will be there in all types of election, from presidential election to an ward election. But what is important here is always elections are fought on the basis of ideologies. Here are two set of alliances, primarily two set of alliances standing for two different ideologies. So a contest was supposed to be there, but nevertheless there could have been a consensus in the national interest if the government of the day wanted. Probably they didn't want, they wanted to play politics, that is different thing. Second, when it comes to women, so when Srimati Pratibha Patil ji was put up as a candidate, BJP didn't support her. So that means that BJP is anti-woman. When Mr. K.R. Narayan was put up as a candidate, presidential candidate, BJP and the other parties didn't support. That means they were anti-Dalit. So let us not get into this rhetoric. This is not about caste or one woman being put up. It is more about the two ideologies that are facing each other in this country for the past several years, and this battle in this country has become very sharp, and there are sharp exchanges both within and outside the parliament. I think it is more of that. There are some small alliances here and there. As I mentioned earlier, Shiv Sena, when it was with BJP, they voted for Pratibha Patil ji, they voted for Pranab Mukherjee ji. When JDU was with BJP, they voted for Pranab Mukherjee ji. When JDU was with RJD and Congress, they voted Mr. Kovind at that time. So these type of one or two hiccups here and there have always been there. I think we shouldn't read too much into just because somebody is a tribal or somebody is a scheduled caste or somebody is a woman. We should all try and find a consensus there. She stands for a particular ideology, and we stand for a particular ideology, and that way there could be lots of things that could have been spoken. I would like to today, though Mr. Kovind will not be there as the president after a couple of days or after a week or so, but I have not heard him doing any press conference where anti-Dalit atrocities were there in the country. He had never spoken or never made a statement earlier.
Okay.
And the same thing with the candidate of NDA today. I have never seen her doing any press conferences or anything. Anything when anti-tribal atrocities were done in Orissa, in Madhya Pradesh, in Jharkhand and Chhattisgarh. Those were there. So let us talk more about ideology, not about candidates here.
Okay. Fair point. Tom, isn't it also a fact that when the BJP was in the opposition, they never supported many of the candidates which were also trying to send out a strong message? Why do you then grudge the opposition parties if they want to put up their own candidates? It's a political fight at the end of the day. It's not that if Draupadi Murmu becomes a president, they're not going to respect her office. They certainly will. Just as the BJP respected Pratibha Patil or Pranab Mukherjee for that matter.
Pallavi, the story of Pranab Kumar Mukherjee is something that you know very closely. How it happened, why it happened. I don't need to come into public domain.
Let's not talk about Pranab Mukherjee. I'm talking about the larger point which Mr. Hussain is making.
No.
Is that you people also did not support. Yeah, go ahead.
Let me complete. Now, I would like to know what Dr. Ajay Kumar said about the evil philosophy.
Tom,
now, let me complete.
I think Hussain I think Naseer Hussain has touched upon that.
By the Congress party. Do they have an explanation for that? Because this is not about ideology. This is about the engagement in politics with such a desire to downplay a tribal by saying what you say and then talking about, you talk about ideology. What kind of ideology this party represents, I don't know, and my countrymen don't know either.
Okay. I'll come to you, Mr. Hussain. Mr. Bose, should presidential elections then not be about this party versus that party? Are we actually sending a bad...
5 seconds?
Yeah, okay. Mr. Hussain, quickly, I'm giving you 5 seconds, but not more than 5 seconds, because I really have to go across to Mr. Bose. It's a little unfair you're getting out of time, but go ahead.
See, I think Mr. Ajoy Kumar has already... clarified. He was speaking about the evil philosophy, nothing about the lady there, nothing about the candidate of the NDA one. Two, Mr. Tom Vadakkan is speaking about Congress ideology. This is the ideology whom he defended for years and decades, whom he defended. So let us not get into that.
Okay, fine.
Mr.
Tom, I'm just going to give you a chance.
Of your ideology,
Mr. Bose, do you think the elections are now becoming about this party versus that party, and the gravitas which is attributed to Rashtrapati Bhavan at some point of time gets compromised?
Absolutely so. I mean, it is very painful to see that, for example, the legacy of APJ Abdul Kalam, the most popular president ever. I'm not talking about religion here. I'm talking about a popular president, people's president. So, we should have done that. We should have sanctity. I mean, but that is an ideological situation. In that case, when from whichever party he belongs to, the prime minister also deserves some respect, the official respect. We are not doing that. I mean, that way we are making a mockery of the whole system. I mean, anyone can criticize, but look at the language, look at, not repeatedly, the other day some Bengal MLA has also said. So obviously, if ideally what you are saying is correct.
But Mr. Kumar, we are all talking about the presidential choice. I think the vice presidential choice is also very, very interesting. Now, here's the thing, Mr. Jagdeep Dhankar is going to be most probably the vice president, who sits right in front of him. I mean, like I'm sitting here, just right in front of me is going to be Derek O'Brien of the Trinamool Congress. Of course, H.D. Devegowda, but I'm more interested in the Derek O'Brien factor because TMC versus the governor has been a perennial battle. Do you think the Rajya Sabha, with the vice president sitting as chairperson, is now going to be a shifting of the battleground Bengal to Rajya Sabha?
To some extent, yes. The reflection will be, we would definitely see the shadow of what was happening in Bengal in the Rajya Sabha, because we all know what has been happening in West Bengal when Jagdeep Dhankar has been the governor and Mamata Banerjee has been the chief minister. So some shadow of that will definitely be seen in the Rajya Sabha when Jagdeep Dhankar becomes the president of India, when he's heading the proceedings in the Rajya Sabha. I'm anticipating that some kind of...
Okay. I'm going to give the last word to Mr. Bose. Please go ahead because we're going to start running out of time. Yeah, go ahead.
Yeah, I think we have to wait for just 3 more days. I think 21st TMC will take the decision, and there can be interesting decision.
I also have a sneaky feeling that I will not be too surprised if the Trinamool Congress actually ends up either abstaining from this whole process or in a sense supporting Jagdeep Dhankar, because saying, like, he's been a governor, so, we want to support, or rather word it differently and say, okay, we don't want to support. Because the absence of the Trinamool Congress today and the Aam Aadmi Party from their meeting today is also very, very telling. Mr. Tom,
absolutely.
Tom, I'm going to give you the last word because I know you will say I gave one chance extra to Mr. Hussain, but very quickly, do you think that's what could happen?
Yeah.
And are you hoping that the Trinamool Congress and the Aam Aadmi Party supports you at least as far as the VP elections is concerned?
This is a simple question. This is a Kisan Putra. This is a gentleman who has fought and has come up from the bottom of the stairs. And he's probably the first educated person. And here's one person who is nothing connected with any dynasty. And if there is support coming from across the board, whether it's the Congress, it's the AAP, it's whoever it may be, point is,
but Tom,
this is about the
as
vice
the last
president
line,
of
just
India.
To bring back your line, what if tomorrow they accuse you of being anti-woman because you're not supporting Margaret Alva? But that's a debate for another day. That's all we have time for now. It's going to be interesting.